I'm Teresa Miller, and I'll be leading tonight, and the format will be a little bit different from a usual Tuesday night. My intention is to offer the talk first, keep it short, and move right into a guided meditation practice after the talk. So we will be finished by 8:30, so you can resume the party at the back of the room if you'd like at that point in time. So announcements. Pat, anything? Yeah. Susan? Jeff? Anybody? David? Okay, so is there anybody new here tonight? Well, welcome, 3 of you. Glad you're here. So, and anybody brand new to meditation practice? All right. Ajahn Amaro, who's a Buddhist teacher, once wrote, "The great benefit of a human life is that we have the faculty to not just be conscious or alert, but to have the capacity to reflect. We don't just know, we know that we know." Tonight's talk is about compassionate presence. And for many of us, this word compassion, we know it as our response to the heart's quivering as we witness another's suffering, and the impulse to offer something for relief in response to that quivering of the heart. Compassion is one of the 4 Brahmaviharas in Buddhism, and the other 3, as you may know, are loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And these 4 are also called the immeasurables, or the 4 divine abodes, and that's because they are states that don't have boundaries, that don't have beginning nor end. They're places of, we might say, calm abiding. And the practice of compassionate presence can fall into or give expression in any or all of 3 modes. One is the receiving, that is, seeing ourselves as deeply held or truly seen with some kind regard. A second mode of compassionate presence practice might be extending. So this may be the one we're more familiar with in terms of compassion, that heart's quivering in response to suffering, where we are extending ourselves towards others, knowing that they have the same wishes for happiness that we do. And we don't have to marginalize anyone in that capacity. And the third mode is deepening. It's a settling into the present moment, again with some warmth, some calm, some equanimity. And this is where the mind trusts the energy that's always been available to us in an understanding of pre-patterned awareness, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Compassionate presence is not a matter of being nice to everybody or anybody. It's not something you try to do for yourself, or you try to exert some effort to control your feelings. It's not a way to manage your emotions or to impose a form of domination. Sometimes we have the idea in this culture, because we're well trained in rational, linear thought, that we will practice loving kindness. We will practice compassion as some kind of autonomous self-help project. I will change my experience, my emotions, especially the sticky ones, resentment, fear, the yucky ones, irritation, anxiety, the ones I can't stand. And I will become kind and compassionate and loving. Or at least I'll be more comfortable with my feelings. Sound familiar? So what if we began from another starting point? What if we saw the starting point of compassionate presence not as an individual endeavor, but as an all-inclusive, embracing power of care, one that counters and undercuts destructive tendencies, that moves us beyond limiting impressions, the ones that separate us from ourselves and separate us from others. Oh, he's just a kid. She's just a homeless person. He's just a poor illiterate. That's just a crazy person. It's true, isn't it, that our compassion based on limiting thought at times can be biased and restricted. The writer Federico Moramarco, in Espanol, says it like this. Have you considered the possibility that everything you believe is wrong? Not merely off a bit, but totally wrong. Nothing like things as they really are. If you've done this, you know how durably fragile those phantoms we hold in our heads are. Those wisps of thought that people die and kill for, betray lovers for, give up lifelong friendships for. If you've not done this, you probably don't understand this poem or think it is even a poem, but a bit of opaque nonsense, occupying too much of your time. So you should probably stop listening to it here, now. But if you've arrived at this line, maybe, just maybe, you're open to that possibility. The possibility of being absolutely, completely wrong about everything that matters. How different the world seems then. Everyone who was your enemy is now a friend. Everything you hated, you now love. And everything you love slips through your fingers like sand. When we speak of extending compassion to others, we find it usually far more difficult to feel a quivering of the heart for people we find unpleasant, for anyone we deem outside our tribe. It's true that we may feel compassion for those who are experiencing manifest pain, but sometimes not for those who are enjoying good conditions, and especially not for anyone who's engaging in harmful actions. We have these limiting thought patterns or constructs of other, and they arise quite naturally from our biological and our social conditioning. And what this means is that we have a tendency to always check to see whether the other, that's you, whether you are in my tribe or not. Historically and culturally, of course, we needed to know this for survival, to know where it was crucial to align ourselves in order to obtain food, water, shelter. We needed to know who we had to defeat or even kill in order to stay alive. The problem is, if I'm stuck in this thought pattern with the remnants of ancient biological conditioning, I'm still allowing your speech, your clothing, your job, your religion, the color of your skin, your politics, your looks, to dictate whether you are inside or outside my tribe. Oh, he's just a hoodlum. She's just an old woman. They've got it made. Hey, he's just the garbage collector. She's a wild teenager. They're just immigrants. In modern, competitive Western cultures, our compassion has this capacity. We're able to, at times, extend to others' suffering. Our heart does quiver. But we can be slow to recognize our own suffering. Even when we notice it, sometimes we add another layer of judgment. Oh, I'm hopeless, such a loser. I should have responded differently to that guy at work today. I shouldn't have said that to my partner. If only. In such moments of noticing, we might remember what the Buddha taught. I visited all quarters with my mind, nor found I any dearer than myself. Self is likewise to every other dear. Who loves herself may never harm another. Let me read that again. I visited all quarters with my mind, nor found I any dearer than myself. Self is likewise to every other dear. Who loves himself may never harm another. What if this deep relationality that the Buddha speaks of in receiving compassionate presence was the starting point for this practice? What if we could see clearly that we are held by others, that we are deeply seen by others, that there is and always has been an ongoing power of caring? However you might name it from your own spiritual tradition, the Buddha, God, the universe. Generations before us have known this, how humans flourish in a ground of connection. We know because we are known. We love because we were first loved. Being known, we can know. In this culture, most of us tend to think of receiving as a personal matter. What's in it for me? What am I getting now? And if we look back in time to see how communities of people coexisted, we would see a much deeper communal basis in nearly every spiritual tradition that says you are already held in a field of kindness and compassion. It's a kind of all-inclusive care that existed long before we arrived on this planet, a field that you are simply entering. In Buddhism, we say that you have been held by those who came before you, that you are deeply seen, that to bring the Buddha to mind is to recall a time of being seen. It's to experience your own Buddha nature, a dignity of being. It's to experience yourself as held, receiving the gaze of the Buddha. Last Saturday, I was walking outside at the top of a hill at the edge of a woods, just looking at the shades of yellow and rust, golds, greens. And my attention was caught by some brilliant orange and red leaves of a stand of sumac. And sumac, in case you don't know, is a shrub that grows here in Virginia and many, many other places. And it spreads by underground rhizomes. So when you see it out in the wild, usually there's a whole stand of it. In the fall and the winter, at this time of the year, you'll see dark clusters of red seeds at the tops of these stands. And I learned by looking this up on Wikipedia that these are called sumac bobs. They're used for many different purposes, spices, medicinals, and also as fuel. And there's a species of sumac called staghorn sumac. And the reason for this name is because the stems, particularly near where these sumac bobs are, have a soft, velvety feel like the downy texture of the antlers of a deer, staghorn. When I saw this on Saturday, I reached out and just ran my hand along that stem, feeling that soft, velvety texture. It occurs to me that receiving compassion is like touching into that perceptible, soft velvet. It's inhabiting or falling into a moment where your unconditional worth and potential are beyond limiting judgment. To train in compassionate presence means to give up the world as we've known it, to let go of those limiting thoughts, some of which we might find actually rather comforting because they're so long practiced, so long held. To let go of limiting thoughts, returning again and again and again to receiving, invoking another way of being, a warm relationship with ourselves. We give our experience some permission to be here. Many of our feelings have learned not to trust us because their experience is that we just want to manage them. Our job is to help them be more comfortable, not rejecting them, not imposing some agenda. You have to go because I'm uncomfortable. We aim to make feelings, whatever they are, more comfortable, to allow them to be here. The practice is about awareness. Again and again, allowing, accepting these feelings and not being identified with them. If we have this gentle friendliness towards them, we create a different quality. It's as though we're relating to a troubled friend. With a troubled friend, we would listen deeply. We would allow, we're not pushing an agenda of any kind. We're simply witnessing, letting be. So the feelings are free to stay. Morph, change, whatever, or leave. They are impermanent. And to extend our compassion towards others, to offer compassionate presence to others, we must first experience being held, feeling our self-worth, our dignity. When we are seen in this manner, it will empower us to hold others. And it's really only then that we can know that all beings have this essence. We are held so we can hold. We can love because we were first loved. We love as we are loved. Being known, we can know. So just pausing for a few moments, closing the eyes perhaps, And letting whatever's present continue to resonate. And when you're ready, in your own time, just take a couple of minutes to stand and stretch in silence, in whatever way that stretching feels good for you. So sitting in a relaxed, alert way, allowing the eyes to close if that's comfortable for you. With the back straight, but not rigid. Noticing if there are any tight places in the body. Perhaps softening the muscles of the face. Letting the brow be smooth. The jaw unhinge. Letting the tongue rest inside the mouth. Letting that ease extend down into the region of the throat. Softening the shoulders. The hands, the belly. And taking several deep breaths, inhaling deeply through the nostrils into the lower belly. Holding the breath briefly. Exhaling, releasing, and audibly letting go if you wish. Inhaling again, cradling the breath. Exhaling, releasing. And once more, a deep inhalation of air. Pausing a moment and letting go with the exhalation. You might feel the gentle grounding pressure of the body sitting here. Sensations in the pressure, the soles of the feet on the floor, or legs on a cushion, sit bones on the chair. Just noticing what's true right now. Allowing it to be here. And if you would, in this moment, recall a time when you were with somebody who quietly extended love to you. Maybe a friend, family member, a teacher or a mentor, a pet. One that you felt happy with, safe, beloved. One who was with you in some simple, loving way, taking joy in you, maybe in a moment of play or laughter. Or deep listening. Or a quiet, caring presence. This kind of benefactor moment could also be one that comes from a memory of a special place or in nature where you felt at home, deeply well. Or it can come from a spiritual figure, the Buddha, Jesus, Kuan Yin, Martin Luther King, Desmond Tutu, the Dalai Lama. So recall this moment. Imagine this person, an animal, a benefactor, present with you, not just in memory form, but actually re-inhabiting, occurring right now. Imagining that one is with you, seeing the goodness of your being, your unconditional worth, taking joy in you, wishing you deeply well. See if it's possible to feel the happiness of holding that person in mind. Letting their loving wish for you be a shower of gentle, healing energy that permeates your body, your mind. Can explore just opening and accepting, like a puppy lying on a rug in sunlight. receiving this gentle energy into every part of your body. Letting physical tensions soften. Receiving this energy into every cell, every part of you loved in its very being. Letting any feeling that arises, worry, a frustration, a longing, anger, sadness, letting every feeling come up and be embraced in this energy. receiving compassionate presence, extending compassionate presence. May our meditation here tonight be joined with the meditations of those around the world, across space and time, all to serve the welfare, the happiness, and the freedom of all beings.